It's not bestiality, promise. So busted with animals is almost more busted by animals for me. I don't know what was wrong with the world. I thought I had good karma coming to me because I was a vegetarian. Had been for a number of years, and I had 3 sequential months which proved me wrong. The very first animal incident in which I was busted was when I was working. I was working at the library at NDSU. I'm actually a former recovered librarian. On the south side of the building, there was a large egress window well that was put there to help prevent flooding issues. But one weekend, a little kitty had fallen in the egress window well. And apparently it had been there the entire weekend because come Monday morning, it was making a lot of noise. It was starving. So if you think of who usually works at a library, I was the young, able-bodied male. I'll just summarize it that way. So I was tasked with going down into this egress window well, and it was about 8 feet deep, and the entire building long. I jumped down there, and I had to corner the cat because I was a little bit scared. It needed to be rescued, but didn't want to, really. So I finally got the cat cornered, and it was a little kitty that was just scared to death. But got my hands on it, and it resisted. I will just say it mildly. It was scratching, clawing, trying to get away. And I was like, I'm helping. I really am. It's just like when parents say, you know, this hurts me more than it hurts you. I think that's how the cat felt at that time. But I got the cat out, and I was able to keep it mostly away from my pretty face, so it didn't scratch me, and was just about to pass it off to one of my coworkers who stayed on the upper level with a box to save it. That was such a vital part of the process. But right before I could put the cat in the box, it clamped its little teeth on my left index finger. Holy hells. Kitties have sharp teeth. I'm severely allergic to cats, and apparently cat spit, once it's in my system, is a little worse than just dander. Who knew? So in addition to partially severing 2 tendons in my finger, I developed a severe infection, and I actually had to get 3 rounds of antibiotics injected. That was the first time I was broken by an animal. The second time I was broken by an animal was approximately 1 month later. I was rollerblading. Insert whatever joke you want, it's true. Down by the river. So I was rollerblading down by the river, and I was on the Moorhead side of the trails in the wooded area, and it was getting dark really fast. I didn't time as quickly, or I thought I was so athletic I could go further than I could while it was still daylight. But I was trying to get home and knew there were quite a few animals in this area. I'd already encountered one that had a vengeance against me, even though I was a vegetarian. So I was trying to hightail it back to my apartment. I lived on the very north edge of town at that time. Had a nice apartment with a deck overlooking the old Trollwood Park. Lovely. And right on the trail. It was convenient. But I was scared of the woods, because my sister, 1 week prior to this, had told me that more people are killed by deer than any other animal in the United States on an annual basis, excluding car accidents. Scary thing is 100% true. So I'm rollerblading, still as gay as can be, trying to get home, and worried about deer. Well, I came around a corner, and sure as shit, there they were. There were 3 of them just standing there. It was a papa deer, a mama deer, and a baby deer, just having a nice family gathering on the trail. And, you know, I wasn't in a motor vehicle, but they still gave me that deer in the headlights look. I just like, and come on, they're pecks. So, long story short, they weren't about to move. I didn't want to run into them because I thought, death. So, I threw myself off the trail. Did not stay upright. I landed on a rock, snapped off the radial head in my right arm. Shook it off, went home, put a bag of frozen peas on it overnight, went to work the next day at the library where they told me if I didn't go to the clinic on my own, they would call an ambulance because it was so swollen and grotesque. So anyway, I had a second animal encounter that was just, it left me broken. 1 month later, I was on a family trip to Minneapolis. I had a brother who lived in Montana at the time and a sister who lived here in Fargo for all of a month and a half. But we decided to go to Minneapolis because my brother wanted to go clothes shopping. They didn't have his style in Montana. So we were going to take a quick trip, and this was right after Halloween. So weather was iffy. We had just gone out for Halloween. We always did group costumes at that time. That year we were the designing women as the Supremes. But I didn't want to go. I was talked into it. We hit the road in my sister's vehicle, which broke down on the way to Minneapolis. So we were right outside of Clearwater, and we needed a ride. Fortunately, a friend of ours who had just moved to Minneapolis recently had been in Fargo that weekend visiting her parents. She was on her way. She just picked us up. My sister made arrangements to have her vehicle towed and fixed the next day because this happened on a Sunday. So we were dropped off at a car rental place and just decided we would use that to just get around town for the night, do our shopping, and pick up my sister's vehicle, head back the next day. Well, we were having dinner after trying to shop. Everything was closed by the time we actually got to town, so my brother didn't get his clothes ultimately. But when we were having dinner, my sister remembered she left her 2 small Pomeranian dogs in their kennels in her apartment back here in Fargo. And the only person with a spare key was me, and it was in my pocket. So, out of necessity, I decided I would drive home. My sister would stay overnight at a friend's to have her vehicle repaired, and then she could head up. But I took the rental car and just made my way home, and it was just outside of Alexandria on I-94. I hit and killed the black bear. Fun fact, in Minnesota, if you kill it, you own it. I was shaken. The vehicle was completely totaled. And when the highway patrolman finally came, I was there doing okay, and he was making arrangements to have a tow truck come and haul the vehicle away. And he asked me, "Do you want the carcass?" After I threw up, I said no. And what was really amazing to me that really, really is insightful when you think about cultures, the people on the waiting list for bear carcasses were there before the tow truck. So, I wasn't as broken as the vehicle, but I still think my spirit was broken or busted by the bear in that third incident. And I would like to say that things got entirely better. I hold a grudge. I'm no longer a vegetarian. But the relief for me was when the 4th attempt happened and I thwarted those efforts. I was on my way to work early one November morning, so it was very much the next month. We had freezing rain overnight. I was still on my apartment on the north edge of town, which had a very steep driveway right outside the front door. I was fresh out of a cast and worried about falling. I'm finally that age, I worry about it every day. But I had my coffee in one hand, my laptop bag on the other side, and I take one step on the driveway and start sliding. I'm not even moving my feet. I'm just trying so desperately to keep my balance and not fall. I'm doing okay, and then I hear it. I look behind me. There is a single shrub in front of my apartment building, and a pheasant had taken residence overnight. And as I'm sliding down the driveway, it's headed at my head. I just braced myself for the worst. I had a track record. And I just crouched. The wings brushed my hair. as it flew overhead. And that's when I finally knew that I would never again be busted by animals.